Much from Labour. Just an improvement, you know, less corruption, less cronyism.
Party started. I mean, everyone's looking very glum round these parts. Come on.
What's in your coffee cup?
Labour landslide. 14 years of corruption and lies and gaslighting.
So what do you think Keir Starmer should do now, right? We've seen...
Well, I
yes,
think he should apologise.
You think he should apologise?
I think I absolutely do.
Now, I'm very excited about this. After what they've put us through over so many years, don't you think we deserve the karmic justice of watching Lefties lose it? Watching Lefties break down in tears over the complete meltdown of what has been a disastrous Labour government. Totally disastrous. The left-wing MSM establishment-lovey nutters who were so convinced that Slippery Starmer was going to change their lives overnight, that he was going to introduce some type of utopia into the United Kingdom. Well, we know now that they were not only deluded, but they've admitted privately that they have the biggest dose of egg on their face. And boy, it is so glorious to watch. So we're going to come to the truly ghastly Carol Vorderman in just a moment, and then get top analysis from my superstar panel, Russell Quirk and Lois Perry. But first, Marina, Purkiss and Gemma Forte, the mean girl and TV shopping presenter who have become the most deluded left-wing pundits in the country, something they even admit themselves.
It's lots of clips and we get the best and the funniest and the silliest takes and we're completely biased.
You are.
Oh, we totally are. There's no balance whatsoever. It's me and a lovely girl called Marina Purkiss. Those of you who know her on Twitter will know she's...
Oh, she's not lovely. I mean, she's like the biggest troll in the world. But let me show you. Yeah, exactly. But I want to show you these two because I'm sort of tracking their change. So I want to show you these two before the election where they thought the utopia was coming. There was even broom dance. And on election night, there were tears of happiness and shrieks of pleasure.
It is a Labour landslide being predicted by the Outspoken. A catastrophe.
More squealing.
Keir Starmer becomes the 7th Labour Prime Minister in history. So, Labour landslide, this is your voice. This is our country deciding we've had enough. If the exit polls...
Oh, it still makes me really emotional.
Yeah, it still gives me shivers.
Oh, I still haven't recovered. And you know the very, very high-pitched scream in the background, the one that would attract dogs from miles around? That was me.
Oh, was it you? Well done. I was wondering what that was. Ooh.
All the glass in the building shattering. Oh, my God. I still, like we were saying at the top of this, literally waking up in a country where they're not in charge anymore. I've been going on X and thinking, what is this feeling? And you...
Oh, Gemma Forte hadn't finished humiliating herself, though. Put it this way to her handful of listeners.
Feel lighter? Brighter? Have you exhibited any strange behaviour over the last few days? Have you whistled? Have you sung that bit louder in the shower? Laughed heartily at jokes that aren't even that funny? Cried with relief? Because I tell you what, we have.
So you know the picture that I'm painting here. I mean... Doolally Purkiss even compared the mean streets of the United Kingdom to Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, yeah, I feel similar. I feel like is it that scene from Sleeping Beauty or whatever? When the birds are tweeting around the head and all the animals are just happy. That's what I feel like. Because on Thursday, the 4th of July, 2024, we went to the polls.
Okay, I hope you know where I'm going with this, though, because let's fast forward just 9 months. And this is where the fun really begins, because I want you to note the different tone in the shopping presenter's voice and the stark realization from the mean girl that no one is feeling better any longer.
Did you interchange it? And I know they've been in for 5 minutes, really. But trouble is a couple of things that they've done instantly give the message of you're going to be worse off in the comms, rather than we're going to give you something, or we're going to like raise the income tax threshold, something that everybody go, wow, that's a positive for everybody. And they just have failed to do that.
And no one is feeling better. Who is feeling better right now? What's changed? What's changed for the better?
No, nothing.
Yeah,
Nobody.
there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've sort of come to the realization of, holy shit, this hasn't worked out. Starmer's a liar. But what I love, because remember, I've just shown you the receipts of how they were acting before the election. What I love is you see the mental arithmetic from Mean Girl Marina, who claims now, so remember, she's just said like the streets are like Sleeping Beauty, but now she claims, oh, no one was ever really expecting much from Labour at all.
From Labour. Just an improvement, less corruption, less cronyism, some good, maybe. But today's spring statement is a new low. Taking aim at the poorest in society and those who are disabled is unforgivable. Even Thatcher, if you're going to scrabble around for money, even Thatcher had the imagination to put a wealth tax on banks.
You've got a very short memory, Mean Girl. You've got a very short memory. I haven't forgotten this. Russell, they've made themselves look like absolute fools.
Well, so what they look like is they're on their broomsticks there. They're witches. That's what they are. I know Marina in passing, only professionally. I used to appear on the Jeremy Kyle show when he had his TV panel show a year or two ago. So she was one of the panelists. And she was, here's my assessment of Marina. Marina doesn't really believe in anything apart from Marina. So she believes in Marina Purkiss. What she's absolutely focused on is her own notoriety, fame, and wealth. She's married to a former high-level footballer, so she is literally a footballer's wife, which is, fine by me. I say that with no criticism. But in my exchanges with her, I would often criticize her to her face for being a champagne socialist, the very epitome of champagne socialism. She'd turn up in her Versace this and her Louis Vuitton that, and she would just agree with me and say, yeah, I am. Well, the reality is now dawning. We're seeing the reality and truth of socialism dawning on Marina Purkiss and Gemma Forte as we speak in real time, and it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. Well, Lois, just before you weigh in, can I read out a couple of Marina's, Mean Girl Marina's, increasingly hilarious and desperate posts on X? So she's written, "Dear Labour, you're not going to outreform reform, so what are you doing? Rethink your strategy, FFS." And then she said, "I get it. Labour have let you down. You're desperate for change. Do you really think someone who wants to make you pay for healthcare, reduce workers' rights, keep fire and hire and rehire and shills for the rich is going to bring the change you need? Remember what he did to our fishers." So now, Lois, it's like, okay, yeah, Labour's really bad, but I'm just going to pretend that Nigel Farage is the real issue. But first, the reason you're watching this show is that it's becoming increasingly difficult to trust mainstream media or the so-called fact-checkers who claim to determine which facts are true. And for good reason, given the ongoing debates over free speech, the controversy surrounding Brexit, and how Trump and other anti-establishment politicians are portrayed. But I have the solution for you. It is called Ground News, and it's the best way to stay informed and cut through media bias and manipulative narratives so you can get the facts for yourself. This has been a game changer for a news junkie like me. You can see it for yourself at ground.news/outspoken. But I want to show you this incredible website and app in action. So let's look at the decision recently by the UK Supreme Court that ruled that women can only be biological adult human females, reversing years of trans extremism. You can see clearly in one place that over 350 sources around the world are covering this story. Ground News instantly shows how the story is being covered by the media, broken down by whether it leans left or right, illustrated by its bias distribution chart. If you scroll down, you can see every headline about the story along with the political bias and ownership of the publication. So we can see clearly for ourselves that on the right, the Daily Wire covered the case very accurately with the headline, "UK Supreme Court rules trans-identifying men are not women." Spiked Online was even more forthright, declaring women exist, get over it. And the Telegraph looked in depth at the disgraced famous faces who declared trans women are women. By stark contrast, the left-wing National said the result was only a victory for gender-critical feminists, and the Canary ran with the clearly ludicrous headline "Victory for the Far Right" as Supreme Court rolls back trans women's rights by 2 decades. Far right? Try calling J.K. Rowling that to her face. My favourite feature is their blind spot feed, which services upwards of 20 stories daily that receive the majority of coverage from one side of the political spectrum. If you love the news like I do, the blind spot feed is the best way to get a balanced perspective on what's happening. So go to ground.news/outspoken or scan the QR code to subscribe today. Get 40% off the same Vantage plan I use for unlimited access. That's ground.news/outspoken. But now, back to the show.
This is quite interesting because I'd never heard of her. And then my ex-boyfriend, who I think it's fair to say is slightly to the right of Genghis Khan, especially on matters to do with Israel, had an unhealthy obsession with her and I having some sort of physical debate or argument and kept suggesting it all the time.
I wonder why. I wonder what was going through his mind,
a
Russell.
Twitter spat with her. He engineered a Twitter spat. But it, you know, but I didn't even know who she was.
No, I mean, what is that? Some kind of OnlyFans political offshoot? Is that?
Yeah, not a bad idea.
I think you make a lot of money. I try not to think about it too much, but on a serious note, she's she just says what will get her on television. I mean, I was a Jeremy Vine panelist all the time. I was on his show on the BBC, and then I was on his show on Channel 5. I was a regular panelist. Then lockdown happened, and whereas before I'd be on as a sort of slightly anti-feminist type person, slightly to the right or centre right, and then suddenly I had views that were abhorrent, and you know I suddenly went from being on regularly to not being on at all. But if I'd had absolutely no qualms whatsoever about or actually believed in anything like her, then I would be, you know, it wouldn't have been an issue. But I wasn't prepared. I think, as Russell says, what I get from her, I haven't met her, but what I get from her is that she just says what will get her on television.
Absolutely.
And I think her meltdowns and James O'Brien's meltdowns and all of these people is they've been towing a certain line for a very long time to keep on air. And suddenly things have shifted and they're scrambling and they're not quite sure how to play it now.
Well, we don't hear from Vorderman very often now.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, can we talk about Vorderman? Can we please talk about Vorderman? I'm so glad you've raised her, Russell. Yeah, I'm so glad you've raised her. I was hoping you were going to raise her because you're so right, Russell. She's disappeared. She has literally disappeared. Like,
I'm not complaining.
No, I mean, it's so great. But like her 180 is insane because do you remember on election night and she was on with like, it was that awful Channel 4 show with Emily Maitlis and all the other lefties. And she, well, just watch.
Started. I mean, everyone's looking very glum round these parts. Go on.
What's in your coffee cup?
Landslide. 14 years of corruption and lies and gaslighting. You've got 2 disgraced chancellors, Tory chancellors in this studio. You've got Nadine Dorries, you know, a woman who barely turned up for as her last year as an MP. And everybody out there is thinking, no more of this, no more of the lies, of the deceit, of the corruption, of the VIP PPE lane scandal, the betting scandal. I mean, who could ever have thought that a government would be as utterly banal and ridiculous as this one? So let's get the party started because they have gone.
I'll drink to that.
Yay!
There we go.
Hey, cheers.
Well, she wasn't popping the champagne corks for very long, though, was she? Because look at her now.
Genuinely, I don't understand why they've done it. I do understand why you wouldn't pay the wealthy pensioners, but to go from, you know, I'll be one of those in 2 years' time. So I wouldn't need the winter fuel allowance payment. But to go from 12 million to less than 2 million pensioners receiving it is just way too low. And I'm shocked by it because they could raise that money in so many other ways, including, for instance, private equity managers. All of this is kind of in the book, really. So, for instance, a few years ago, in one tax year, 255 private equity managers earned, very much in inverted commas, £2.7 billion between them. And they didn't pay 45% tax, as every employee who's earning a decent amount of money would pay. They have a special arrangement with HMRC at 28%. Now that could instantly generate another 600-700 million.
So what do you think Keir Starmer should do now? Right, we've seen.
Well, I think he should apologise.
You think he should apologise?
I think I absolutely do.
Sorry, I just love it. I could eat this up all day. It's put me in such a good mood, Russell.
Well, I mean, those two clips are brilliant because she took great pleasure in castigating the outgoing Conservative government for, let me just recap, for being self-serving, corrupt, gaslighting and so on. What do we have now? We have a version of that times 10, I would say, in terms of sleaze and moral corruption and missteps and, persecuting farmers and waspy women and pensioners and so on. All of the things, particularly, let's not forget the Wahid Ali stuff, right? Because that's been brushed under the carpet. There have been so many faux pas by this government. We forget the tens of thousands of pounds and gifts and so on that the front bench, not just Keir Starmer, but the front bench have taken for presumably favours somewhere down the line. So Vorderman, I mean, it's a classic case, isn't it, of be careful what you wish for. What did they say? Things can only get better. Well, I think things got crapper.
Yes, Lois, final word to you. End the week for us.
All I will say is just on the specific point that she made, just being a bit of a pedant, that those particular individuals could go anywhere and pay tax anywhere in the world that she's talking about. The fact that they've done a deal for 28%, they're in the UK, they're paying tax in the UK. She's talking about the wrong stuff. How about they stop sending billions of pounds over to China and to other countries for net zero policies? That would probably be a better way of saving some money for the pensioners. But yeah, I mean, Carol Vorderman, what can I say?
Yes, and you've got exciting plans
sad,
over the next couple of weeks.
Another woman watching her.
Oh, yeah. And you should. You've got some exciting plans over the next couple of weeks, Lois, with the Heartland Institute UK and Europe.
I have, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about it. So I am taking a delegation to Poland to meet very senior politicians, and then we're going to the CPAC in Hungary, where we will be meeting with parties on the right that oppose the Green Deal, as Poland does. And then, very excitingly, I'm coming home. I've got a couple of fundraisers in London. I've got one in Essex as well on the 31st of May. And then, very excitingly, I'm going to be flying to Rome to talk about anti-net zero stuff with Maloney and other senior politicians as well. So yeah, it's a very exciting couple of weeks ahead for me. And the whole concept for us is to be building a transatlantic alliance of anti-net zero policies across Europe, helping them with our research, helping them with everything that we possibly can, so that we can help them fight the Green Deal that's been the European Green Deal, which will impoverish everyone apart from, as my daughter tells me in Animal Farm, that they're like the pigs that go and live in the house, Mummy, aren't they? I said, yes, they are like the pigs that go and live in the house, darling. And I'm not going to let them.
Well, I love
this. That's what I'm going to be doing.
I love this, Lois. Debt zero, not net zero. That is such a good point. Whereas I say not nut zero. But of course, then it wouldn't rhyme. Oh my goodness, I love you too. Thank you so much. I knew we'd have fun, which we needed this Friday. Russell Quirk, absolute legend. Of course, you can follow Russell on his own YouTube channel and on X. And Lois Perry, keep us posted, please, with all of your big developments with the Heartland Institute. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you both so much. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.